I'm Jade Keogh.
And hello from me too, I'm Grace Seeley.
We both play for the Millwall Lionesses and are sponsored by the No One Likes Us Talking team.
Why not sponsor one of our teammates just like they do?
To find out how, just email
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
I'll say that again.
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
In your email, say who you want to sponsor and we'll get back to you with the sponsorship details and what to do next.
This is all you have to do and it will help us to get back to where we belong. Thank you guys.
Now, enjoy our Millwall fan show from No One Likes Us Talking team.
Come on, Mir.
Hi, Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
It's the first show of 2023. I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Dave Hart, our correspondent with BBC Radio London, Ted Robinson, and George Lampey with me.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
And there you go. It's lovely to talk to you all. Happy New Year and welcome. Sad news this week. We found out that two of our players who were quite prominent for the Lions at different times passed away. There was John Jackson, who played in goal for us. He passed away on the 29th of December. The other one we heard about was Brian Brown. And Brian Brown was with us for quite some time. But first of all, I'd like to extend our condolences to the family and friends of John Jackson and the family and friends of Brian Brown. We're sad for their loss, and both will be remembered fondly by the Millwall fans. The first of the tributes is with Brian Brown's teammate, Brian King. Brian
Brown. He came to Millwall a year after myself. I joined in 67. Brian came in 68 from Chelsea. He was a youth team player at Chelsea, and as we know, dear old Benny Fenton seemed to find players from the so-called First Division teams, the elite First Division teams, and Brian was lacking a chance in making a regular appearances for the Chelsea team, and Benny snapped him up on a free transfer. He joined in that summer of 68, and we sort of hit it off straight away. And Brian was not only a good friend, but he was also my taxi driver, because he always used to go back past Liverpool Street Station from Sidcup or from the Den. And I used to jump in his Spitfire, as we had in those days, and we used to go Aldgate East, and it let me out at Liverpool Street. Sometimes we had Barry Bridges with us, and God knows how we ever got three of us into that Spitfire. I will never know.
Questionable.
But we did. But Brian, from my view, was a very underrated player, as was Harry Cripps. Brian was a stocky. I call him stocky because he had a little bit of a weight problem when he came, but he worked hard at it and became a fast member of the first team squad. And as you say, he played 212 games, and I think I played probably in every one of those games that he played. He was a solid fullback, a good fullback, strong, liked to get forward, had a hell of a shot, and could certainly vary his passing. I mean, from short to long, off his right foot, but was a tough tackling defender, as they would say in those days. Yeah. And could be a little bit unpredictable in where his deliveries come. Some of the back passes I got from him were more like shots than they were actual back passes. I wouldn't have wanted to have to use my feet with some of them. Bad enough trying to pick them up. But no, he was a good friend and a funny lad. I mean, he liked to joke and a laugh, and he mixed in well. Everybody liked Brownie, And as it proved, he helped me out in 1971 because my original best man was Peter Collins, who was playing for Tottenham and played with me at Chelmsford. He was away on tour with Spurs and couldn't get back for my wedding. And I asked Brian that there was no danger. We set off to Moss Brothers and got our suits with my dad, and we certainly looked the business. Still got some photos of the wedding with Brian and a lot of the Millwall lads in it. And I can only say that the past few years, a lot of Millwall people lost contact with Brian, and that saddened me a lot, because the first news we receive about Brian Brown after about 15 or 16 years is he's passed away. And for me, it's how did he pass away? How many's in his family? Those things I would like to find out, because he was and will always remain a good friend to me and a good player for Millwall Football Club.
That's wonderful, Brian. It's a sad affair, and hopefully we can get some information to you through and Shona Groves.
Well, that's very kind. But I'd just like to make a comment on dear old John Jackson, who was an enemy of mine whenever we played Crystal Palace, of course.
Of course.
But a very good goalkeeper, great club man, be it for Palace, Orient and for Millwall. Again, we seem to be losing these players regularly. That's sad, but to both John and Brian, good servants to Millwall and good men.
As you heard Brian mention the late John Jackson, former Lion Phil Coleman, who played alongside Jacko, pays a tribute to a man whom he learnt a lot from. Phil, what would you like to say about John?
Hi, Eamonn. Thanks for having me on again. John Jackson, I know the fans called him Stonewall, but we knew him as Jacko. I just signed pro and made my debut at the end of the 78-79 season. And Jacko turned up in the summer of 79. And he was exactly what we needed. We had a very young team. I think you'll find there were 6 or 7 of the youth team, FA Youth Cup winning youth team, 6 or 7 of us youngsters in the team. A lot of the work was being done by Kitchen, Mel Blythe, Nicky Chatterton, and Jacko turned up. Absolute breath of fresh air. To play in front of him was exactly what I needed as a youngster. I can't speak too highly about Jacko. Obviously, he come from Palace and Orient. And I think somewhere in the back of my mind, he had a spell in America just before he joined us. But obviously, the connection with George Lampey was the strong one that brought him to the club. And I had a season and a half playing in front of him. Unbelievable. He could save penalties because he just seemed to read the players' minds. As I say, he was exactly what we needed. He would talk to us on and off the pitch. He demanded from the defence, but he also had this knack. I've never come across it before. He would tell me what was going to happen before it happened. It would be like, Phil, don't let him run across you, and all of a sudden the strike would run across you. So his experience, I think he was 38 when he joined us. And his talking on the pitch was like he had a crystal ball, but obviously born out of experience. As I say, a great talker on the pitch, but also off the pitch. I shared many a table playing cards with him and George Lampey and a few other card players, but also we talked on the coach. And some of the trips, Carlisle and Plymouth was one, a long 5 or 6 hour trip down to Plymouth. And I spoke to Jacko all the way down there. And we had a meal together the night in the night time at 7:30. We're sitting there, and I'm still talking to him at 11 o'clock at night. And I remember it like it was yesterday. He absolutely talked football all night and elements of life. Absolutely brilliant. On the pitch, he was as tough as nails. I mean, he took no liberties from anybody. If you chipped him in training, God help you. Honestly, he'd do you. He would do you later on. So I've got nothing but love for John Jackson. I've got nothing but thank yous for him as well. As I say, he helped us young players out. And I'm sure, I can't speak for them, but I'm sure Jacko helped Peter Glazier and young Paul Sampson out because they were the 2 youngsters that were coming through just after Pat Cuff. But Jacko did an awful lot for me, an awful lot for the young players. And some of his shot stopping. He never came off his line much, but when he did, he walloped you and he took the ball and everybody with you. But he was a great shot stopper. As I say, probably because of his experience, he could read the body language, he could read the shots, the penalties. And I do know as well that once he left Millwall, he went to Ipswich in the top flight. And I think by then he must have been 40 and he's playing for Ipswich in the top flight. And there's a little story that I think he covered one of the Ipswich goalkeepers in Europe as well. So he was on the bench in the UEFA Cup games, but that would be to be confirmed. But he definitely, his one and only league appearance for Ipswich was against Manchester United.
Yes.
And I can't remember what Bobby Robson said exactly, but it was along the lines of, we're paying them an awful lot of money for those 3 saves against Man United, but it's worth it. Something along those lines. The comments were he just had this one unbelievable game against Man United. I think he might have even kept him in the league.
Yeah.
So, as I say, I've covered as much as I know about Jacko, but for my 18 months playing in front of him, I learnt a lot. I'm thankful to him. One great bloke, one lovely bloke, but what a great career he had in the game. And I'm thankful to have known him and played in front of him. And I will long remember our chats and our talks and that experience. And my love and to his family and friends.
Wonderful memories, Phil. Thanks very much. There's no more really to say after hearing those thoughts from Brian and Phil, but to say rest in peace, John Jackson, and rest in peace, Brian Brown. We'll take a break there and be back with our first guest this evening, but for now, let's listen to Debbie Julians talking about our sponsor, G&M Motors.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by family business G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham in Kent. They are Millwall fans too. They've been Honda dealers for over 50 years. At G&M Motors Gravesend, you can purchase a new Honda. At both Gravesend and Meopham, they have a combined range of over 150 quality used cars and ex-demonstrators to suit all budgets and lifestyles. They also offer a comprehensive range of repair and maintenance services to ensure your vehicle stays reliable, safe, and retains a higher value with trust. G&M Motors, Gravesend and Meopham are dear friends of the Julians family. From Lenny to Debbie, and also our Millwall Fan Show.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Dave Hart, Ted Robinson and George Lampey. A happy new year to all our listeners and contributors, and a big 2023 thank you to our sponsors, G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham. Our first guest has become almost as familiar as Batman with his mate Robin. He's looking forward to the second half of the season, having ticked off a box for Burnley but missed out on Sunderland, just as I did. But I had booked a break ahead of the rearrangement. And he made a much less fractious return to Carrow Road. He is, of course, one of the 2 voices of that daring duo on Millwall match days with Max McLennan on radio and live streaming. Let's say Happy New Year to BBC's Karl Bates. Hello, Karl.
Hello, Eamon. How are you?
Well, delighted to have you back on the show once again. It really is good.
As always, your introductions are fantastic.
Did they? The pairing now of you and Max as Batman and Robin, I think, is almost crucial to our success, not only on the pitch, but in our broadcasting sense as well. I think it's wonderful. The others might say hello to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's all right. I'll forgive you. Don't worry. I didn't know this until a few weeks ago.
They was exceptionally slow last time round, and this lot are even worse.
Well, I must admit, Eamon, when you was doing the introduction, I wondered who the hell you was talking about. But
so did I. I knew it was me.
I thought we had a new commentator.
Well, you never know.
A decent one.
A decent one we have got. We have a decent one. Yeah, I mean, he was busy last night on that BBC Radio London, just like you, Ted. Funny that, isn't it?
He was, wasn't he? I saw Ted on there.
Yeah.
All of 5 minutes or whatever it was, but
a bit longer than that.
Took a lot out of me. I had to lay down afterwards, I must admit, after making my prediction, but there you go.
Anyway, before I let you off to the panel, we wanted to chat with you anyway. How was your new venture to Turf Moor and the quieter trip to Carrow Road this time?
Turf Moor was lovely, actually. To go there on a night game, from where you commentate, you're quite high up in the main stand. The Wall fans were away to my right. And so you're looking over another stand. It's in a bit of a dip. If you've been to Wycombe Wanderers ground, it's like that. It's in a slight dip. And so you've got all the trees around in the background. So it was a really nice view. They looked after you really well. Because of travelling up there midweek, we stayed over. And the hotel we were staying in, we were just having a beer, drowning our sorrows in the hotel bar, and we got all our Millwall clobber on. And as we're sitting there feeling sorry for ourselves, somebody walks in, all in Burnley, and you think, it was the manager, Vincent Company. He was staying at the same hotel. He looked over at us, like, just sort of smirked and went, sorry, and then had a bit of a giggle, a quick little chat, and then pleasantries and off. But no, they deserved the win. They were far better than us, hence where they are in the league. But no, it was a good trip. And Norwich, thankfully, I stayed where I should be and didn't have any quality time with the floor.
No, I was quite amazed by that.
So was I.
Is that true, Cole? They got a little plaque where your seat is.
Yeah, but it's on the floor and it's not quite level. I don't know what's going on. Karl fell here.
I saw a picture of that, but I think it was one that Pat Maslin had made up, and it said Karl Bates fell over here. But there you go. Anyway,
there's a plaque on the side that said Karl was here, and then there's one on the floor that says Karl fell here.
All right, that's
reasonable. 2 plaques.
That's reasonable. That's reasonable. Yeah. Dave.
Hello, Karl. It's just thoughts about our festive fixtures. How would you sum up or contrast our win at Watford, our draw against Bristol City, and the den defeat of Rotherham last weekend?
Yeah, I was quite glad, actually, with what Gary said in his post-match interview. It was something I'd been flapping on about in commentary and with the guys at half-time. Because if somebody had have offered us, say, 7 points out of 9 with those fixtures at the start, we'd have took it. If we swapped Watford and Bristol City round, a hard-fought draw against Watford and a comfortable 2-0 win against Bristol City, we'd have said, yeah, I'll take that. It's not any points dropped. I mean, at Vicarage Road, I don't know about yourselves, I thought Millwall were outstanding. I mean, I've been covering Wall now for 5-6 years, and that's the best I've seen us play away. To dominate right from the word go, didn't let our foot off Watford's throat right up until the end. And I actually thought 2-0 was unfair. I thought just a probable score 3 or 4-0, and you couldn't have argued. It was a really, really good performance. Good. Maybe the Bristol City was a little bit after the Lord Mayor's show. They put a hell of a lot of effort into that game, but they dug in, got a point, and beat Rotherham. Rotherham have got so many injuries. They were there for the taking, and thankfully that early goal from Brad has set us on our way for a comfy afternoon.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Karl. It's Ted here, mate.
Hello, sir.
Let me put you something right for the listeners. When you said that you was drowning your sorrows in the hotel after the game, Karl and Max and young Mark and all that, the group he's talking about, they have a drink whatever happens at the game, because I've seen them when we've won.
You cannot prove that.
And their excuse when they've won is they're celebrating. So I just thought I'd make
lime
that
and sodas. No, lime and sodas. That's all we have. Yeah. No ice. We don't want to go nuts.
Well, what I'm interested in, Karl, is what's it like being a commentator over the Christmas period? We all think about the players, what they have to do, and is it a little bit similar for yourself? Because it's one of the things. The job, I know, but it's an awkward sort of time for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, and maybe some of the listeners do, I've got a young son, Ed, who's 12 now. So it has its ups and downs. It's like when we went to Cardiff a few years ago on Boxing Day, that was a bit of a nightmare. Although Ed did find that rather funny Christmas Day when he was going to sleep tired and said, "You're going to Cardiff tomorrow." So yeah, that made me feel special. But I mean, the fixture list this year's been very kind to us. I mean, I actually enjoy the barrage of football over the festive period, as there's only so long you can spend with your relatives without wanting to hit them with a pig in blanket or something. So so I do enjoy it. I class it as part of the festivities. In all honesty, you get the darts on at Christmas and things like that. I class football, and I think you see it in the crowds. You get very good crowds over Christmas because a lot of people. It's a chance to see each other. I suppose you see people at football when you go to a game. If you're a season ticket holder or a member, you always sit next to the same people. You may only see them at football, so it's nice to see them around Christmas time, just to see how they got on, exchange gifts or whatever. So no, I've always classed it as part of Christmas. I've been involved in football as a fan or a commentator for so long. It's second nature. It's not averse to me. So no, I enjoy it, I must admit. Although going to Cardiff and getting up at stupid o'clock Boxing Day, I was questioning myself.
I was supposed to ask you a secondary question, Karl. I didn't bother because I know the answer. It said, "Did Max McLennan eat all the mince pies?" Well, I know that's a yes. So,
you would be wrong, Ted. It's me that's all over mince pies. I don't even know if Max likes them. To be fair, I absolutely wolfed them down. Yeah, I was all over them. Yeah, I wasn't giving anybody a chance there. If Mr. Kipling had been within 20 yards, he'd have lost an arm. No, I do love mince pies. And
but what about the shortbreads, Karl?
I'm not too up on shortbreads, to be fair. So no, Max likes to eat a lot of chocolate and bits. If there's any within his vicinity, unless you're all over it, it's gone. So, but to be fair, that's not just him. Mark and the rest of the crew. I had an advent calendar. A selection box, should I said, was kindly given to me by one of the fans. By the time I got near it, there was about 2 left. So,
you didn't have a selection.
No, it wasn't. It was
no selection problem. It was just
it was a very poor selection, and that's the polite way of putting it.
Hi, Karl. George here.
Hi, George.
Hello, mate. 25 games played, sort of halfway, just over halfway through the season. Our return on points per Christmas is the best since we returned to the Championship. Home form is really good. More draws than the fans would like, away, but on the road we're not doing very well for wins. What's your frustration with what you've seen as our success stories watching the first 25 matches?
I can see why they left you down the line, George, considering eased me in about mince pies, etc. Now suddenly straight in with the killer. From a frustration point of view, I'd say our form on the road to start off with, but I'd say now we're a different beast. I mean, I think, don't quote me, I think we've won 3 of our last 6 on the road. I know at Sunderland, apparently, second half, I've seen the goals, but we're back to some very bad habits. But we've won at Bristol City, Preston, Watford, and I think it's down to the formation, just a bit of a tweak in attitude. I think when we went away at the start of the season, we looked to be going for a point from minute 1 and hoping to maybe snatch something from a set piece. But at the moment, when I watch Wall play, the formation helps as well. I mean, Bradshaw is a bit of an unsung hero in that sense that, he's got boundless energy, and him and George Long link up so well as an outlet. Like Long, he'll catch the ball, he'll look up and he can just ping it to Bradders, and he'll get 60, 70 yards up the pitch, either force them into a throw-in, win a free kick, and just relieves the pressure and gets us on the front foot. Success-wise, I mean, Billy Mitchell, wow. I mean, he's, 20? I think he's 21. Yeah, I think he's 21 now. And, what a success story he is. I remember last year he was getting, he wasn't one of the fans' favourites. He got booed a lot for just laying the ball off simple. But, I think we can all see what a talent we've got now. I mean, how often does somebody get the ball, they're under pressure, and there's Billy Mitchell within 10 yards of them? And that doesn't matter where they are on the pitch. He's always there as an outlet, and he gives the ball away maybe a couple of times a game. And that's huge. And I suppose, Hutchinson back as well at the heart of defence, that's a big plus. I always compare him.
That makes all the difference, I think, Karl. I think he's the rock, I think, at the back, as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And I think it's something that, not in the literal sense, but he reminds me of Roy Keane, as in Roy Keane wasn't Man United's best player, but he got an extra 10% out of Beckham, got an extra 10% out of Scholes, Giggs. It made him a more important player. And I think when we see Hutch in the middle, Cooper comes up another level. McNamara has the confidence then to bomb on down the right. And he just seems to have everything organised. He's a good talker. He's a nice guy. He's quite quiet, actually, off the pitch. You might get an hello out of him, but that's about it. But I think he makes a big difference. And up the other end, obviously, with Zian, he gives us that X factor. You're never quite sure what he's going to bring to the party. Squad depth's good now. I mean, we can change styles. I don't mean Callum, who was excellent, actually, against Rotherham. But, we're hard to read. Under Chopper, it was 4-4-2, get the ball up tomorrow, and he'll try and find someone. But now, we're less predictable. We've got a bit of the surprise factor. Could be 3 at the back, could be a 4, could be a 2 up top, could be 3, could be 2, 1. We're not easy. Whoever's when Heckingbottom picks the side against Sheffield United, for Sheffield United against Millwall, he isn't going to have a clue how Millwall will line up. He may have a guess on who's playing where when he sees the team walk in, but it's, we've no idea. Well, if it was under Neil or at the start of Rowett's tenure, I'd say we were fairly confident. And I really like that about the team. So I think a frustration was our away form. But at the moment, with how things are going and the run we're on, it does look pretty rosy at the minute.
Start of the season, we would have thought that Watford and Norwich would have been contenders for automatic promotion. Mm-hmm. But it's now Burnley at the top and Sheffield United in second. Mm-hmm. Watford and Norwich trail by 11 and 15 points respectively.
Yeah.
If you had a crystal ball, how do you think it might finish now?
Crystal ball, Mystic Bates. Hopefully we'll be celebrating too. If you haven't seen the National Lottery, that's a total waste of time, Joe. Anyway, it looks, and I think it will be, the 2 at the top, they're going to become detached from the rest pretty quickly. If it's almost an unassailable league now. You look at the class of those 2 sides, we've played them. They both put us to the sword fairly easily, and their standards ain't dropped. So I think those 2 will be the automatic spots. As for the playoffs, I've got the league table next to us. I'd say West Brom, they've got a strong squad, plenty of depth there. Middlesbrough, the same, Carrick's doing a good job. And, they're making their way up the table. Norwich, a hell of a lot depends on the new manager, whoever comes in there, because at the minute they're stuttering and stuttering quite badly, so they need to hit the ground running. I wasn't impressed with Watford at all. They just didn't have the stomach for it, and I think they'll drop a lot of points that way. So I'd go playoffs. I'd go with Middlesbrough, West Brom, maybe Blackburn if Diaz stays fit. If he gets a bad injury, I don't think they'll get enough goals. And, well, of course, Millwall will sneak in 6th place. It's as simple as that.
I'd say that.
Yeah, I think we'd all take that, wouldn't we? That would be
Absolutely.
nice. Well, I've done my prediction to London yesterday that we'd be in the playoff final, so I'll be shot down with that. But as we've heard today, Karl, that Afobe's gone to Dubai, I believe. Can't blame him. I can't blame him for that. He's probably got an attractive contract to keep him playing beyond his Millwall contract. So, all the best to him. I thought of Bennett Afobe. He was a good player for us, and he scored some good goals for us. But I was already a little bit concerned because of Bennett's injuries. He was coming back from an injury. Dear old Mason Bennett seems to struggle to get through a month without having an injury.
Yeah.
And that sort of leaves us with Bradders up front. I know Zian Fleming's got the man getting the goals at the moment, but I already thought that we needed a bit of help in the front position. So, having said all of that, do you think we need to? I think we need a striker to come in. I think what you was just saying. I think like with Norwich, they got a manager coming in. He needs to hit the ground running. I think we need a ready-made striker to come in, someone that has been there before, maybe, and we know can do it. What's your thoughts on that, Karl?
Yeah, I think with Afobe going, as you say, his contract being terminated today, I think Rowett's bound to have his eye on bringing in somebody else. He may, in the short term, allow somebody like Vogelsammer more of a run up top. We've got plenty of options in midfield. Honeyman, Styles, both impressed in the win against Rotherham. You've still got the likes of Saville. If Mason's fit, you can bring him into the equation. Shackleton, Ryan Leonard, I saw warming up quite extensively after the Rotherham game, so he can't be far away. Midfielders we're never going to have a problem with. We've got absolutely tons of them. So there's no reason why Vogelsammer and Bradshaw can't swap. If Bradshaw's run himself into the ground a couple of games, then Vogelsammer can do the same. Mason, I'd rather stay out wide when he's fit. I think he links up well with Malone down the left. So I'd imagine Vogelsammer will get more of a run to play with Bradshaw, but one injury to one of those players, and as you said, it leaves us really, really light. And so I'd like to think, because they've allowed Bennett to terminate his contract, you think behind the scenes maybe, and I have absolutely no idea, I'm totally guessing, but you think maybe that's been behind the scenes for a couple of weeks now, maybe even longer. So I'd imagine Gary's got his feelers out looking for somebody to come in, and now is allowing Afobe to terminate his contract, and we'll have hopefully somebody in place in the not too distant future.
Well, I think, Dave spoke earlier about beginning of the season, and we brought in some good players then, and I think they've all been worthwhile players, if you know what I mean. They've pushed in the squad, they've played certain games. You look like your Shackletons and your Creswells and George Honeyman and Stiles, and I still don't think we've seen the best of them yet. But I think, as you say, with the way the transfer strategy is, I think they possibly knew that Bennett Afobe was going, and I would be very surprised if they haven't got one or two lined up. We obviously brought a young lad in from Shamrock Rovers, but I believe, unfortunately, he's got injured, or someone said to me he's injured. But, he could be anything, obviously.
Yes,
but,
that's a hell of a jump for him, so I'd imagine
it's a big, massive jump.
You don't want to ruin him. So.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that I think we need a ready-made striker, if that makes sense. Someone a bit proven at this level would be ideal.
He came in. I don't necessarily mean that type of player, but somebody who's got plenty of experience.
No, exactly. He came in and done the job, which is what we need at this moment in time. I believe. But
right. Karl, it's George again. I'd like to I know you've answered this a little bit, but we've got 21 matches to play. Two things. Where do you see our biggest challenge in the second half of the season? And do we realistically think that we can make one of them top six playoff berths?
I think the biggest challenge, I'd say, is that how tight the league is. Millwall could have a great end to the season and still, with 2 or 3 games to go, be 2 points from 3rd or 13th. You look at the season, we're halfway through the season and it's complete chaos. Teams that at the minute are looking over their shoulder have a good run, and suddenly they're looking at the playoffs. And so, you look at the games there's been. I was doing my research for the game Saturday, and Rotherham, for example. Sheffield United have got a fantastic record at the moment. They've had 1 defeat in about 10. It was at home to Rotherham. That says it all. We saw Rotherham play. They were very poor. I know they had a lot of injuries, but this is a side right down the bottom of the league. And they've gone to Bramall Lane and won. There was, I think, Swansea beat Watford 4-0. And that's just thinking in the last couple of weeks. So it's really hard to predict. And I think that will be one of the big challenges, is going on a good run and not getting too downhearted when you drop a few points. Because, there was a couple of groans when it was the draw against Hull and Wigan. But Millwall didn't particularly go anywhere in the league. So it's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
I think the other day we were level with about 5 teams on the same points, weren't we, or something like that? It was, we could have just dropped if we hadn't got the points. So,
yeah, definitely. And in regards to the playoffs, there's nothing wrong with us dreaming of a playoff berth. Let's not downplay it. Millwall, genuine chance. They're as good as all the teams around them. But I think when some people saying, "Well, I expect us to get in the playoffs this year. We need to improve," and I don't think that's fair. To me, the team overachieves every time. The side put together with a budget, it's a fraction of the size of nearly all championship sides. As I say, I was doing my research, and the perfect example is Ollie McBurney at Sheffield United. He cost them £17.5 million. It rose, or has rose now, to £20 million. This is a team that we're playing in the same league. That one purchase buys our team, probably twice. So for Millwall to be in with a sniff is quite frankly ridiculous. The top players, Fleming, was still less than 2 million. So it's Millwall have got a League One budget and they're mixing it in the playoff spots in the Championship. And that's full credit to Gary and the team for how well they perform. And I think sometimes as fans, we forget how well they're doing.
Can't blame a Millwall supporter when you look at the table. We've got a game in hand. If we win that game, which is Luton away, we'll be third.
Exactly. It's incredible, isn't it? It's such a good run. And the really encouraging thing is the away form now. Millwall aren't going to be whoever they're playing, like Middlesbrough, for example, next away fixture. But let's say 6 months ago or at the start of the season even, they'd look at that and think, yeah, that's a home win. Millwall never travel well. We'll beat them, no problem. Now they're going to be thinking, cool, this lot, I've seen what they did to Watford. I've seen what they did to Preston. This ain't going to be an easy game. And that's something that Millwall having a reputation away from being home as a good side is something that, will be really, everybody knows when they come to the Den, they're in for a fight. But now Millwall are travelling with potential. I think that's a really good thing to have, something to have extra to add to Millwall's chances.
It's really nice to see that some of the youngsters that we're producing, when they actually play or they get even a little role, they seem to be very comfortable even in the Championship, which is no easy feat, is it? It's all right if you're in League One, youngsters can come through fairly easy. But when you're in the Championship and you're playing young players, they've got to be pretty good to hold their own and look like they're, good on the ball sort of thing. And our youngsters that we're using so far, even though they only play little bit parts, I'm quite impressed. Do you get the same vibe?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's good role models right ahead of them. We've got Billy Mitchell and McNamara now who's cemented that right back position as his own. And they're only just ahead of them, in the food chain in regards age. Like I said, Billy's 21. I can't remember how old Danny is. And so the players like Romain, who's been getting a few minutes here, there and everywhere, he'll have seen them. He probably knows them from playing with them in youth matches.
Yeah.
He'll have trained with them, played with them. And so it's not such a big step when you've got people well, probably on a personal level as well, on the pitch there. I'd imagine Gary maybe sits Billy is, if you've ever spoke to Billy Mitchell, he is so mature beyond his years, it's ridiculous. So I'd imagine he would be great in the dressing room to sit down next to somebody like Romain and say, right, there's a good chance you might get on today. How are you feeling, etc., etc. So we've got some really good young talent already in the team, which helps bring the others on. And of course, when you're playing well and the crowd's behind you, it's far easier to come on as a sub than being 2-0 down. You're down to 10 men, the crowd are toxic, and then the manager goes, right, on you go, and he's like, oh God, you're gonna crumble immediately. So no, when you're coming on in a game like that, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, coming along like that, and it's a lot better. Well, let's be hopeful with all those young players coming through. Let's hope there is a striker coming to us. I did see someone tip us to take the Rotherham goal scorer, whose name I forget now. You'll be able to tell me who that is, Karl.
I knew you'd put me on the spot there. I'm just thinking because they've had so many injuries. It could be Ogbene or
Ogbene. That was the one.
That was the one.
Ogbene, isn't it?
Yeah, we're interested in him allegedly. I wasn't overly impressed with his goal returns, but there you go. You never know. Perhaps he'll fit in and slot in nicely. But it's all to happen.
When it comes to goal returns, it's about price again, isn't it? McBurney costs 20 million quid.
Yeah.
He scores a lot of goals. He bloody should.
Right.
He costs 20 million quid.
Yeah.
He should be able to score and clean your car at the same time.
Yeah, well, allegedly, he spends himself injured a hell of a lot these days.
Yeah, he does.
Never mind. Look, Karl, absolutely brilliant that you came along. You know what's up next.
Oh.
It's the prediction in the FA Cup against Sheffield United at the Den. How do you think that will finish?
I've got to admit, I have a dreadful feeling it's going to a replay. I really do. It's just I think it'll be an exciting game. I think there'll be plenty of goals. I don't think either team wants to draw. And I think it's going to end up a midweek trip to South Yorkshire. I love going there. It's a really nice club. I don't know if you guys have been there. You get a lovely atmosphere there. It's a really, it's a good ground to go to. But I've got a feeling we could have a 2-2 or a 3-3 draw on our hands. Hopefully, I'm wrong, and Juicy Jake will do his usual, and Cooper will get a winner. But we shall but see.
Yeah, but then you could end up in the bar with Sean Bean. So there you go. You never know, do you? You never know.
That's very true.
Hey, look, thanks for coming on the show. It's been brilliant as always to talk with you.
Thanks for
However,
inviting me.
Bethany did ask me to check if Max was not gorging all the biscuits anymore, because she was quite fuming, I think it was the last time round. We had to sort of cool her off. So what
Is
message
Max
have you
still
got
eating
for
all the
Bethany?
biscuits? Well, Bethany, for a start, don't worry. I won't waste away. If I stopped eating now, I've probably still got 312 years to live, so I'll be fine from a food point of view. But no, they've done a really good thing now. We get little small packs of biscuits with 2 or 3 in each, so he can't pile in and nab the lot. It becomes very obvious if he's doing such a thing. So, yeah, no, it's all good. I can nab a couple in the pocket. Job done, and I'm all right. So, thank you for checking in on me, Bethany, but all is well.
So you heard it all here, Bethany. Karl is okay for bickies. Anyway, all our best to you and yours, and hopefully we'll hear from you again just before or after the season ends. Bye, Karl. Lovely to have you on.
Thanks,
Take
mate.
care.
Cheers, Karl. Cheers, mate.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was nice, Karl Bates. Always interesting to talk to, and some good insights. Anyhow, we'll take a break there and listen to what the fantastic fanatics can offer both us and Millwall.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Ted Robinson, and George Lampey with me. If you want to get something in the sales, because it's sales time now, why not spend through the Fantastic Fanatics site and give a bonus to the Millwall Community Trust? It will help them deliver the very many activities that they do across all age groups in our communities. It's Let's Hear from Ellis Bar time. And here she is.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall.
Yeah, come on, Millwall. But how was Christmas, Ellis? We haven't seen any videos lately. Getting them out there on social media. Keep us posted on what you're up to for the year in 2023. Well, nothing to report from the minor Millwall side, apart from the Lionesses preview from Jeff Burnage. And here's Jeff to tell you what's going on next Sunday.
Well, Lionesses return to action this coming Sunday at St Paul's Ground in Salter Road, Rotherhithe, with a home game against old rivals Dartford in the London and South East Regional League. Millwall still top that division, although now it's only on goal difference from Fulham, and it's going to be a tough month for Jack Wheeler and the girls. After the game against Dartford on Sunday, which is a 3 o'clock kickoff, they will be going the following week for the revenge game, hopefully, with Gillingham from the National League, who were our conquerors in the FA Cup a couple of months back in that epic penalty shootout win for the Gills after a 2-2 draw after extra time. We then play Worthing after that, and then Dartford again at Princes Park on the 29th. That's another 3 o'clock kickoff. That's in the League Cup. At training on Wednesday, which I went to, was the first time the girls had all been together since before Christmas. I think the 19th of December was the last time they all trained together. But there was a full turnout, and we also had the new signing, Stefania Apache, and Chloe Burr, who was back for the first time since this season, I think, since the birth of her second child, and she looked fit and raring to go. It will be a difficult team selection for manager Jack Wheeler. The squad has been consistently strengthened in recent months, and competition for places is now intense. So, I'll be reporting back next week on how we got on against Dartford in the league game. 3 o'clock, St Paul's, Rotherhithe, on Sunday.
Well, if you can be there, because that's where Jeff will be. Anyhow, let's hope the Lionesses make it a happy January, and hopefully Jack gets some more reinforcements in to make the return to the National League some form of reality. Now we turn to our FA Cup tie at the Den on Saturday against Sheffield United, who sit 11 points better off than us and are 4 places above us in the Championship. They have only lost 5 of their 26 games this season, and in their last 5 have won 4 and drawn 1. Their last game on the 2nd of January at Loftus Road, that was the one that they drew. But that is a Championship football, and Saturday's game is a one-off fixture. The best odds with bookmakers are Millwall to win at 2-1, a draw at 12-5, Sheffield United to win at 8-5. So they are the most heavily booked. So tight odds all around. On loan, Newcastle player Kieran Clark is unlikely to feature for the Blades. They will also be without Jack O'Connell, Rhys Norrington Davis, Ryan Brewster, all recovering from long-term injuries, and that £20 million man, Ollie McBurney, who remains a doubt as he continues his recovery from a hernia operation. Also, Cardra, if I get that right, is likely to miss out on a place in the squad amid speculation over his future at Bramall Lane. Their own fans are expecting to see a different side to the one that drew at QPR, with the Premiership beckoning for the Blades. For us, Gary Rowett has confirmed that Adomo Imaku will not be involved in Saturday's FA Cup tie against Sheffield United after injuring his quad. He joins Callum Styles, possibly Mason Bennett. I'm not sure what the picture is with him, but certainly Ryan Leonard, who are all still sidelined. Long is available to make a return to his goalkeeping duties if selected. Now, what are your thoughts and predictions? George?
I think we will change, both teams here will change players quite drastically, actually, because I think Sheffield United are obviously very focused on the Premier League and them top 2 spots. Ourselves, I think Rowett's intention is to push up to that 6th spot if he can get to it. So I think the 2 teams are going to be very different to what we're normally used to. I would go, I think we could win this, but I think it's going to be a hard game, maybe a draw or a win. I'm not sure, if I'm honest, but a difficult game with the 2 teams below what we would normally think for a league match in strength.
Right. How about you, Tip? What do you reckon?
I think George has got it spot on there to a certain extent. There will be players coming in that possibly wouldn't be starters if it was a league game. But there's 1 or 2 of our boys that are coming back from missing, like from injury. Maybe Scott Malone might get a run out if he's fit enough after what's been going on. George Honeyman, I think, will carry on playing. I think he's secured himself in there. Maybe Shackleton will get a run out somewhere. But it all depends on who's feeling fit and if there's any little niggles that you might sort of want to take that player out for this game, start him on the bench. You don't want to aggravate anything. It'd be interesting to see the lineups. I think I would. I was having listened to what we were talking about earlier about, and certainly George mentioned him. I think I would rest Sean Hutchinson to make sure that he is fit. I'd wrap him up in cotton wool if I'm honest, because I think he is a vital cog in our team. So maybe Cresswell will play if he's allowed to by Leeds. I don't know whether he is or not. Yeah, so that all makes trying to predict the game very difficult. But I think Millwall might just nick this one. I'm going to go have a 2-1 win to Millwall.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah, I think Ted and George have both covered the basic points about this game. It is going to be hard. It's not going to be the football that we're used to. I think Ndai and Berger are will probably still be in their team. So, we just got to go out and get at them like we normally do. The thing that impressed me about the Rotherham game was the way that Gary changed it, because we were playing the back 5 and then when he switched to black 4, we played a lot better. So changing the formation in the games, which is something that Gary doesn't normally do, in my view, could work against Sheffield United. And I think it'll be even tighter than what says. I'm going to go with a 1-0 for Millwall.
The other thing I just add to it, like I said earlier, I've got to remember we've only got one game a week, so that does make it a little bit easier to pick players that you would perhaps not pick, if you know what I mean. Think they might need a rest.
Yeah.
So it may be a bit of a stronger side than we are expecting, but we'll see.
We'll wait and see. Anyhow, when Saturday comes, we'll enjoy it. Anyhow, back to Bethany Warren, who's going to talk about how to sponsor or donate to the Millwall Community Trust.
The work of the Millwall Community Trust makes a big difference for people in Lewisham, Southwark and North Kent. Times are getting tougher, and to help them make a difference, you can help too, by making a donation. Give a one-off donation or a monthly amount. Your support is crucial in raising vital funds for their work. Or by fundraising for them. If you are running, swimming, cycling, cooking, dancing, parachuting or anything else, why not do it for the Millwall Community Trust? Interested? Then either email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. I'll say that again. Email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. Thanks if you can.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Ted Robinson and George Lampey. If you can do any of those things that Bethany mentioned, it will go a long way to support the Millwall Community Trust in meeting the needs of the community. Our final guest tonight is not a stranger to the show, and he and his team have been at the centre of some remarkable, and I say that by putting it up in hyphens, initiatives this past year, and I feel they will surpass them this year. It's my pleasure to say Happy New Year and welcome to the one and only Sean Daly of the Millwall Community Trust. Hello, Sean.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year.
Hello,
Evening, Sean.
Evening, Sean.
Happy New Year to you, mate.
No, George's not going to wish you Happy New Year.
No, I did. I said it before anybody else. That's why you didn't hear me. Happy New Year, Sean.
You must have said it into the back of your chair or something, but never know. Okay. Anyhow, Sean, before I let you off to the team, I must say 2022 saw an amazing number of achievements, accolades and support from within the community. In particular, I was taken by the kindness of a person who immigrated to this country due to tough times in his country of birth. He was treated so well by the people of Bermondsey upon his arrival and became successful in his work here, so much so that he wanted to give something back. On the Friday before Christmas, he sent a van load of hampers to the Lion Centre for the Lions Food Hub to distribute to those who are most needy. What a gesture. And stories like these are not uncommon. The Trust has become a flagship for so much good. And I must say this to you, well done to those that work with you and your leadership in making things happen. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But it is a team effort from everybody, and support like yourselves highlighting all the work we do. I really appreciate all that. Thank you very much.
We're delighted to do so. Yeah. Delighted to do so.
Hello, Sean. It's Dave here.
Hi, Dave.
Right, mate. The relationship between the team and the trust has really come a long way since COVID, and you've had a tough call to put players forward for the league awards. How would you sum up that relationship now in making things happen for the trust?
I think the club are very supportive in everything we do, and I think the players buy into the club. One of the objectives when I came here was to make us a real big community club, and I think the players see what's going on around and they want to be involved. Sometimes time is not on their side to do that, but they're very supportive in everything they do. And I've not had one ever bad issue with a player coming out. They want to come and help, They want to be involved in it. And I think our relationship with the club, with Gary, is brilliant, but it's led from the top. Gary dictates it. He wants the players out there, and the players have bought into how important the community trust is to the club and the work it does. So I think our relationship's excellent. What I want now is the players to get accolades for what they do, because I think it's very important. They're my biggest asset. When a player comes out and supports one of my programs, everyone wants to know about it. And I think, that was shown this year, when Billy picked up that award for the championship, all he could do was sing the praise of the club and the work the club does in the community. So it's a great relationship I have with the club, but that's from top to bottom. Steve Kavanagh, Gary Rout, all of them.
Fantastic.
That's great. That's great, Sean. There's Sean, it's Ted here. All right, mate.
Hi, Ted. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, mate. And I echo
Did you
everything that Eamonn
Did you get the Santa outfit or not?
Not my Santa outfit. I'm trying. I'm working towards next year now, Sean. I'm just developing my belly, so I don't need a false one. But I'll try and keep to that next year. I'll get my Santa outfit out for you, mate. Definitely next year.
Well, Stan's going to be there next year as well with you. Don't forget.
Yeah, you keep him with that, Sean. Make him remind him.
I'm gonna.
But as I said to you before, Sean, you'll have to dumb it down a bit from a dash. It might have to be a bit of a slow stroll, but I'll do my best, mate. I'll do my best. But week in and week out, we cover the Millwall Romans, Millwall Pride, the Lionesses and their academy. The one thing that shines through to us, and it should do to everybody else as well, is how much they are proud of their relationship with the Millwall Community Trust. Would there be further expansions of these sides, and what they do under the umbrella in the future, Sean?
I mean, I want to start some younger age groups at the girls' academy. So I want girls playing at 5 and 6 year olds. So I want to start teams in the next couple of seasons from 10s and under 12s, which again sees that great pathway into the Lionesses. And I'd like to see possibly a under 21s Lionesses team, but it's all down to facilities. We've got St Paul's, but we need another facilities to accommodate more teams. And the Romans are growing from strength to strength. I think I'm going to have a problem soon where they'll probably be looking next season at 3 teams. But we need to look at that as well. Do they go into a mainstream league as well? I don't know where Paul wants to go with that. But I can just see both of those programs getting bigger and bigger. It's just a lack of facilities at the moment. But hopefully with the build of the new training ground out in West Kingsdown, there might be a scope for teams down in that way as well. So I can just see both those programs getting bigger and bigger.
It's all positive, Sean, isn't it? That's the main thing. It's all positive by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and that's what we want. We want to be an inclusive club, and we want to have that pathway for everybody. And, the girls' football is just, the girls' academy, brilliant. The under 18s, the Lionesses, they're just going from strength to strength. Rome is exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's great. Hi, Sean. George here.
Hi, George.
Hello, mate. Happy New Year to you. And I did say New Year to you.
Yeah, I reckon.
He's milking it now, Eamonn. He's milking it.
Ignore what I was saying.
I'm going to cut that bit out. Yeah.
Sean's all right to the year 2027 now with George. So
yeah, does that mean once I say it, I don't have to say it to you for another 5 years or so? Right, sorry, mate. I'll get back to what I'm here to do, really. We was reading about the captain's evening coming up at the Den at the end of January. This sounds great. All money's raised is obviously going to the trust, and we're obviously promoting it on the show here. Have you got any other new ventures that you've got planned for 2023 in the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, the captain's evening is something that we've had planned for quite a while. What we're trying to look at is trying to do some events that highlight the trust's name and work we do, so we can highlight at those events what we do by having videos and speakers, etc. But again, players want to be involved in it, in the programme. So we've got a couple of little events coming up. We're hoping to have an evening with Neil Harris later on in the year. We're hoping to have a golf day later on in the year down at the London clubs for our work that we're going to start in West Kingsdown, and possibly with like an end of season legends game. But it takes a bit of planning to do. So we want to get the captain's one off the ground first of all, see how that goes, and then have a look at other ones that we can get planned in. But the support of the players is, the minute they get a call and say, look, we're trying to raise some money for the community trust. Would you give us your time to come and do that? Every one of them was like, yeah, no problem at all. I'd love to come down. And like the captain's evening, we were talking the other day that some of these captains have never met each other before. Alex Pearce has never met Les Riley. Morrison's never met, Stuart Nethercott. And we just felt that if we have something different, we're not out to make loads and loads of money. We're more out of making, sort of showcasing what the trust does. Because those days is that, there'll be videos on, we'll talk about the trust and we'll get other people that say, oh, I didn't know that the club did that. And in the meantime, they get to meet some of their, some of the favourites for it. So we're trying to get a plan, like a diary for the year of some events that we can run. Again, we'll run the Santa Dash. We've got, the London Marathon coming up. We've got 5 people out going in there. We've got some supporters going out to Kenya again this year. But most of those evenings are going to be about just highlighting the work the club does in the local community. And we're trying to make it affordable for everyone. We're not asking for, I think the evening with the captain's evening is like £10. Yeah. And with that, you'll have like a sausage and mash or something like that. But the opportunity to be in a room with 7 captains who talk about their experiences of the club. But then, of course, the main thing is to showcase the trust and the work we do and, the impact we've done around, cost of living, those sort of things.
Yeah, I thought the price was very good, actually. When I looked at the price, I thought it was fair and looked good. So, yeah, that's important, I suppose, isn't it, from your point of view?
Yeah, and that's what we want to do. We want to fill the place. We want the place full. Yeah. Because the more people there, the greater atmosphere it's going to be. But the bigger reach we're going to show what the community trust does. And you never know that somebody in that room will go, you know what, I'll volunteer my time there, or I'll come and support with that, or I'll help out the food bank. Whereas, if it's too much overpriced, you're not going to get anybody there. And the atmosphere is not going to be that great.
No, brilliant stuff. Keep it coming.
Just wanted to say, Sean, I might have to miss the Legends game because I'll be concentrating on my fitness for the Santa's Dash, if that's all right.
Well, I'm sure we can have you running up and down the line.
I was going to say that. That's a good idea, that, actually.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a complimentary ticket. That's what he's trying to do.
Oh, dear. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
I think, do you know what? I think I've just pulled a muscle mentioning that up there.
Yeah. I reckon you did. Thanks for joining us this evening. And I've got to say, brilliant what you're doing and your people do. But before you go, there's that all-important statement that needs to come forward. And that's how we're going to do against Sheffield United in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game. And I can see us getting a draw, 1-1.
Sadly, that seems to be the view of many, a draw, which if things go the wrong way, that will put us losing the Burnley game for a Saturday, and we'll be playing someone else in the FA Cup. But anyhow, we'll see what happens, and thanks for that. Now, look, keep up the great work. All the best to you and yours, particularly that young fellow Lucas. We're awaiting his books to arrive with us because Ted's going to start moving them around the Bexley area.
I am, definitely.
Very shortly. So we're just waiting for those to turn up. But, all the best to you and yours. And we'll have you back soon, as you know. Bye, Sean. Lovely to speak with you, mate. Well done.
Thanks very much, everyone. Good night. See you later.
Cheers, Sean. All the best, mate. Cheers, Sean.
Sean Daly. What can we say? Anyway, we'll take a break now and we'll listen to how you can obtain one of Chris Bethell's match day programmes on the match day, actually, because that's an ideal thing to say, really, I think.
I don't think you can say that, can you?
Hey? What have I said now?
How to go mad.
Oh, dear.
Hi, Bethany here. Want a matchday programme?
You'll find them with sellers outside the ground by the gates at Zampa Road, Stockholm Road and Senegal Road. They cost £1 and the sellers ask if you can have the right money, as change will be difficult. If you want to get a message, photos of special events, memorials, or just ones for good luck to be included, email smprogram@protonmail.com. That is smprogramme at protonmail.com. It's a great read.
Now, just a point, there's only 6 pages in it this weekend for the FA Cup, and not all the messages have been put in because they're covering the passing of Brian Brown and John Jackson. But make sure you have your pound coins for those programmes, because...
Can I just say, Eamonn, I don't like disagreeing with Bethany, but when she says they ask you for your money, if, give us £1 is a way of asking for money, I'm not so sure. It's more like a demand.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I seem to get robbed whenever I go there.
Yeah, that's only because you don't carry coins, George.
Did you
You're
do
only
what
a
I done?
note man.
Yeah. You give a note across.
Yeah. You only have
Yeah, but they're pound notes, Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pound notes. Yeah.
Don't forget your pound coins. Come on.
Pound notes, and he's still expecting change, Dave. Things haven't changed, have they?
That's about it. Yeah.
I reckon you could be right. Anyhow, we're all looking forward to that game on Saturday, despite the transport difficulties. But in the meantime, there are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans.
As we spoke earlier, Millwall Football Club and Millwall Community Trust will host the first ever Captain's Evening at the Den on Thursday, the 26th of January, from 7 to 10 o'clock in the 1885 Club. The night will see 7 former Lion skippers in attendance for a question and answer session and much more. There will be the opportunity to pose for photos with your favourites and bid on items and memorabilia. Taking the floor will be Les Briley, Steve Morrison. Oh, Steve Morrison. I tell you what, Pat will be right at the front row, won't she? Alex Pearce, Paul Robinson, Tony Craig.
George, sorry, Steve Morrison just cancelled.
Alan Dunn and Stuart Nethercott. Food will be served, as you heard Sean say, on arrival, while the bar will be open for those wishing to purchase drinks. Tickets are just £10 per person, with all proceeds going to MCT. To purchase tickets, go to the Millwall FC official ticketing website and click on events, which will take you to the Captain's Evening. Tickets go off sale on Sunday the 22nd of January. Get your tickets in early, because I can tell you now, Patricia Maslin will be buying stacks of them. Good night, everybody.
I thought she was taking photographs.
Next Friday, Eamonn will host Jeff, Stan, and AN Other, to be confirmed. There will be a review of our FA Cup tie and a couple of guests too. Additionally, calling all Dockers. Dockers Day will return for the first time since 2019 for our game against Huddersfield Town at the Den on Saturday, the 18th of March. Chris Bethel, the organiser, is looking for former Dockers from the London Docks who had a great tradition in following Millwall to come along as guests on the day. So if you know anyone who was, or if you were a Docker yourself, please contact Chris by email at bethes16@hotmail.com. I'll say that again, BETHES 16@hotmail.com. Or if you are on Facebook, you can contact Chris Bethel by Messenger.
You heard from our sponsored Lionesses, Jade Keogh and Grace Seeley, at the beginning of the show. So why not sponsor a Lioness kit like us to help to get them back to where they belong? If you're an organisation, you can get fantastic exposure opportunities for your business, just like Victory goalkeeping gloves, Andy Roffery, Impetus Women's Football, Megan, Jay and Lola Baxter, and as mentioned ourselves. On top of seeing your name on the club website, you will be able to enjoy a range of benefits. A signed shirt, meet your sponsored player, free invitations to a VIP sponsor day, a free season ticket to all home games, and a presentation photo. Kit sponsorship is priced at £160 plus VAT. To purchase, get in touch with the Lionesses by emailing Kelly Webster. I knew you'd do this to me. On
Go on, Ted. Off you go, boy.
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. It's K Webster, and I think that's all. Is it lowercase they call it? I don't know. But it's K Webster at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. I hope I've done that right, Kelly.
That was very good. Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team bring reports from our games, both home and away, for both the Lions and Lionesses, and also updates on the Millwall Community Matters too on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, social media sites, and all popular podcast sites. Thanks and good night, Dave.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks and good night, Ted.
Good night, Eamonn and all.
And last but not least, thanks and good night, George.
Why do I always come last? Good night, everybody. Happy New Year.
You have to put the cat out.
You said Happy New Year again. Yeah, never mind. Finally, let's not forget to keep you safe on the streets out there. Good night, and thanks for listening to the No One Likes Us Talking team. Yeah, sure.